not filmed a repurchase or trash series since April.
Really?
Hey guys, it is that time. It's finally here. I'm finally done being a lazy YouTuber, and I'm going to sit down and talk about some of the new makeup products I've been trying over the last couple months and let you guys know whether or not I repurchase them or trash them. I used to do this series every single month, and somehow I dropped the ball. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Okay, so we're going to start off with the primer category. Now, I'm not going to go over every single thing that I've tried since April because if I'm honest with you guys, I don't really know everything that I've tried since April.
Right to jail.
I really could not tell you at this point. Normally, I'm really good about keeping track, but I failed. I failed big time. So we're going to start with the primer category. Up first, we do have the Benefit. This is the Professional Matte Primer. This is supposed to help to control the oil. It's supposed to help to, fill in the pores. I will say this does nothing for the pores. Their primers that say they do stuff for the pores, it never does. Like truly, it never does. It makes them maybe look a little blurry, but it doesn't actually make them look smaller. But surprisingly enough, this actually held on. Surprisingly enough, this did not really cause me to get too oily. I was super surprised just because I did not have high hopes for this. But this took me by surprise. It actually did a pretty good job containing the oil for the most part. I did start to get oily around the 8 to 9 hours, but it did a really good job before then, so I would definitely repurchase. Next, we do the What's Up Beauty. This is the Positivity Lightweight Hydrating Face Primer. Now, someone like me who's really oily, I will not use this as often, but I will say I have used it a few times now, and it's really pretty. It really helps to grip on the makeup and really help to make it lock itself in. It did contain the oil surprisingly longer. It did contain the oil really long, which I was really surprised about. And then my makeup looked really beautiful, but if I ever really want to have just a full-on matte face, I won't grab this. But if I want to have a little bit of hydration, I will absolutely grab this. So this is a definite repurchase. This was sent to me in PR. This is the Milk Makeup Pore Eclipse Matte Blur Stick. Yo, this is freaking great. If you have oily skin, put this all up in your T-zone and you will thank me later for it. It's a fantastic product for oily skin. Milk Makeup is one of the 2 brands that I'm obsessed with when it comes to containing oil. They really do cater to oily skin, which is really few and far between for most brands out there. Most brands cater to dry skin. They make a lot of glowy, hydrating products, and a lot of brands don't really cater to those of us who suffer from the grease face. And I'm very grateful that Milk Makeup is one of them. This is a fantastic product. I do put it in my T-zone specifically. I go in with a primer on top of it, and I've noticed it's helped out, I noticed this has helped control the oil. So for me, definite repurchase. And last, for the primer category, I did buy the One Size Oil Sucker Extreme Mattifying Alkaline Primer. This has been my go-to primer. This has been my absolute go-to primer since getting my hands on it. You put it on the face, you let it sit there for about 3 minutes. You don't really move the face, so it does kind of feel like a tightening mask. It's supposed to tighten the pores. It doesn't do shit for the pores. But it does do a great job at really containing the oil. This is my go-to primer when I go to work every day at Disney. This is what I wear pretty much in every single video at this point. It is absolutely fantastic. I will 1000% repurchase this. Okay, so moving on to foundation, we do have the e.l.f. Soft Glam Satin Foundation. Now this foundation right here, I do get oily when wearing this, but surprisingly enough, it does not separate, does not lift, and it doesn't cake, which I really do appreciate. It just looks absolutely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful on the skin. It's not meant for oily skin, so you will get oily, but there's something about this that just looks absolutely gorgeous. I love wearing this if I'm doing a filming day and I want to have just a very soft, luminous glow to the skin without looking so oily. This is my go-to. It's freaking fantastic. I would definitely repurchase this. Same thing with the Urban Decay. This is the Self-Setting Face Bond Foundation. Mine is practically empty. Now, this is supposed to be a foundation that you put on your face without having to set any setting powder. I have to set setting powder because I do get oily, but this is fantastic. It's a beautiful foundation. It does dry down really quickly, so if you have dry skin, this is not going to be a foundation for you. This is pretty much geared towards oily skin. It's for those of us who really need to have the mattifying properties. It is fantastic. I will definitely repurchase this, and I actually did repurchase this, and I have a backup because this is pretty much empty. Then we do have the Sigma. This is the Skin Perfecting Hydrating Tint. This is actually what I'm wearing on my face today. Surprisingly enough, for a skin tint, this comes off more full coverage than it does like a medium to buildable coverage. This gives me beautiful, beautiful, soft skin-like finish. It doesn't really do anything to contain the oil, but it just looks beautiful throughout the day. It wears well throughout the day, and I've really been enjoying this, especially if I want to have what foundation, it's like a lighter makeup day. This is my go-to. Absolutely have been enjoying this. Even though I do get oily, I do wear this on the days I'm just wearing makeup for a couple hours, and it still looks really beautiful. So this is a definite repurchase. Then we do have the Rare Beauty. This is going to be the tinted finishing powder right here. Now this is the type of powder that you literally take at the end of your makeup and you just kind of go over the areas that you definitely have some trouble with. This is supposed to help to lock in that makeup. It's supposed to help to minimize the pores and really just help to set your face throughout the day. Honestly, I feel like this is a nice, I honestly feel like it's a cool concept, but I really haven't noticed too much of a difference when wearing this. Honestly, I really haven't noticed too much of a difference. So while this is really cool for me, it doesn't really do much. So it's a trash. Moving on to concealers. I only tried, I think, one new concealer that I can recall, and it is the Tarte Creamy Creaseless Concealer. I really do love this concealer. It does a great job at brightening under the eye. It doesn't get into any nook and crannies. It just helps to set beautifully underneath there. You set it with setting powder and it just lasts all day. I have no issues with this. It kind of comes off more full coverage, and I do get creasy though. Like, it does kind of crease, but it's also because I need to have some Botox. Your girl needs some Botox. And yeah, it's a pretty concealer. So for me, repurchase. Moving on to bronzers. So I bought the Makeup by Mario. This is the Self Sculpt Bronzing and Shaping Serum. I like this, but I don't like it enough to want to repurchase this. It does a good job at kind of like, you know, going on the skin. You sit there and pop it on your hand, and then you could take a sponge and you blend it out. It blends out really nicely. But for me, I don't know. I thought I was gonna love this more than what I did. I find myself not really gravitating to this as much. I think it's just because it seems like it's more work than what it's worth. And I just prefer other ones. So for me, I trash it. Now this Say bronzer right here, this is Say Dew bronzer. This is my first time trying anything from this brand, and I've heard so many mixed reviews about this. Everybody's saying they hated this. I actually surprisingly turned out to really like this bronzer. At first I was not sure, but this bronzer actually tends to be really great. I dab it in all the areas where I like to apply my liquid bronzer. I buff it out and it just blends and melts seamlessly into the skin. I really have been enjoying this. So for me, I would definitely repurchase. This little Too Faced contour stick, this chocolate contour stick, I didn't think I was gonna love this, but I freaking love this. I have used this so much. That's all I have left. That is all I have left. I have fallen in love with this so much. I will definitely repurchase this. It smells like a Tootsie Roll, which I do not like Tootsie Rolls, but this just does such a good job at really just blending into the skin. It melts, it shapes, it contours, it bronzes. It's so freaking good. And I was really surprised to find myself falling in love with this as much as I did, but it's probably one of the easiest like contour sticks, or the easiest like contour bronzer sticks I've ever worked with. So yes. And then next we have the Morphe Hot Shot Sun Drops. I really enjoy this. I have been talking to you guys about this damn bronzer for like the last month. The way that this just melts into the skin, there is just something about the way that it just melts into the skin. It just blends so seamlessly. It gives you a beautiful, soft, sun-kissed glow. It's just a fantastic liquid bronzer. It works with every single foundation I've tried this with. It just works so beautifully with, which I'm really surprised because I've never really praised Morphe for their products, or at least it's been a very long time since I have. But this was so freaking worth it. And then lastly, for powder bronzer, I found my new favorite powder bronzer. For the longest time, it was the Makeup by it was the Marc Jacobs Omega bronzer. But then I discovered this. I got it on a whim, and y'all, I hit pan. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I hit pan right there because I have fallen so hard in love with this. First off, it smells just like the Marc Jacobs ones, but the way that this just blends into the skin, it just gives you a soft airbrushed finish. It lasts me all day. I actually use this as an eyeshadow base all the time. Whenever I'm doing something like this, which by the way, guys, I am wearing the Adriana Nicole Cosmetics. I'm wearing the shade called Invincible. I'm just wearing this all on the lid by itself. I have a little bit of bronzer to add just a little bit of dimension right here. But than that, I'm just wearing that shade. Do we see how gorgeous this palette is? Like, my gosh. This brand is just chef's kiss. But anyway, I use this as a bronzer. I use this as an eyeshadow. It's such a fantastic product. It's so affordable. I highly recommend you guys check this out. The dogs are so excited that they're home. It's actually kind of sweet. I'm just gonna have to talk over them. Now I'm like self-conscious, they can hear me. Okay, so moving on to liquid blushes. So I tried out the House Labs. These are like the glossy cheek and lip balms. I never use them for lips. I use them specifically just for the cheeks. And these are fantastic. I bought one and then I was sent one. The one I bought was the shade Glassy Pomelo, and then they sent me Hibiscus. These shades are just so gorgeous. They literally like melt into the skin and they blend so seamlessly. I've really fallen in love with these. I have talked to you guys about this quite a few times at how great these just blend into the skin. They're so creamy and buttery and they just melt. Really have fallen in love with these. I use them all the time. They're like my go-to base blush before I set my face with setting powder. Then I go into the powder blush, but they're fantastic. Next we do have the Lunar Beauty These are the liquid blushes right here. I absolutely love these liquid blushes. 1000% repurchase them. The way they just melt into the skin, they're so pigmented. Like literally you just need one dot to blend out onto the face, and they are just giving you the most beautiful pigmentation. They're very easy to work with. They melt very beautifully into the skin. But I will say with these, a little bit does go a long way. So if you ever want to pick anything up, just know that you are going to have this for quite some time. You don't need to worry about repurchasing it anytime soon, but they are freaking fantastic. 1000% would repurchase. Then I do the Huda Beauty. This is going to be the Cotton Candy Blush Filter. These are nice. They smell like watermelon. I do enjoy these a lot. But I feel like I have to work extra hard to get the product on my face. The product blends really beautifully. Once it's on, it blends beautifully. But to get it on my face, I'm like constantly digging in here because I don't like this little applicator. It barely gives me any sort of like blush product. And then I have to keep going in to build it up to get the desired effect, which I don't like. I should be a lot easier for me to work with than it is. But once I have it on the face, it's absolutely gorgeous. And I really do love how it looks on the face. But for me, because I had to work extra hard for the price point that it was, I would trash. But I will say, man, the watermelon smell is so good. And then lastly, for liquid blush, we do the Morphe Hot Shot Drop. Y'all, again, this is another product from Morphe that took me by surprise. This is gonna be the shade called That Girl. Y'all, this is so beautiful. I just put like 2 or 3 dots on the skin. And the way that this just like literally melts in and gives me such a beautiful coverage, it just melts so seamlessly into the skin. It's so effortless to work with. It just melts and blends. I usually go in with a concealer right afterwards to help to blend it out even more, and it just looks beautiful. I would 1000% repurchase. Well shit, at this point it's just a video about everything I would God, I think at this point it's everything I would just freaking repurchase. Okay, moving on to setting powder. We do have the Glam Light. This is the translucent setting powder. This is what I'm wearing on my face right now. This is a beautiful setting powder. I didn't have any high hopes for this at first, but I have been testing it out quite a bit, and it does look really beautiful on the skin. It really helps to set my makeup. It really helps to lock it in. Do I get a little oily with it? I do, but it's not too bad. It's just enough where I can kind of go over it again with setting powder to take away the excessive oil, and that is something I really do appreciate. It doesn't blur and it doesn't fill in the pores like it kind of claims. It just makes my face look soft and just very like soft and set, if that makes sense. It doesn't have like the super blurring properties that they say it does. It doesn't do that, at least not for me, but it does do a great job at setting the makeup and helping to contain the oil. So for me, I would 1000% repurchase. Then we do have the Benefit Professional setting powder right here. This smells good. It has a really soft scent to it. Kind of smells like the primer does. It does a good job at making my face look really pretty, but it doesn't really have as long longevity as I wanted it to. I tested it out multiple times. I do get pretty oily when I wear this, but it doesn't look like greasy. It just looks oily. So for me, I trash. And lastly, we have this Polite Society setting powder right here. Now this is supposed to be the best setting powder for oily skin. I will say I did not like this at first. I did not like this at first, but the more I play with it, the more I generally really did start to like it. Do I get oily wearing this? I do, but the way that just makes my face look so freaking blurred. My face looks like freaking airbrushed whenever I put on this setting powder. It looks absolutely gorgeous. It does last for quite some time, but there is 2 issues that I noticed with it. One, it does leave a white cast. If you don't tap off enough excessive powder, it does leave a white cast. And 2, trying to lay a powdered highlighter on top of this, it's very difficult. It doesn't want to show. Like my powder highlighter doesn't want to look like this. It just wants to look like it's not even there. And that is one issue that I'm noticing with putting a powder product on top of this. It just doesn't want to work together. So while this is really pretty to make your face look nice and blurred, and I do really enjoy this, I would not repurchase it because of that. Okay, so for highlighters, I know I tried a few, but I'm just gonna talk about 3 of them. The first one being the L'Oreal Infallible Highlighter Illuminator. This is what I'm wearing my face right now. I love this highlighter. The amount of compliments that you guys give me whenever I'm wearing this highlighter, like you guys are always saying how beautiful my highlight looks, how like it just like looks so effortless on the skin. This is one of those highlighters that you can take and you can build up, and you can also leave it kind of more like just like a glisten, or you can have it really, really like accentuate like that, or you can really have it shine. It's so beautiful. And this reminds me so much of my favorite highlighter right now, which is the iconic London, the Satin Bake highlighter. I freaking love that highlighter, and this is like a perfect dupe to that. This is I think like $15, if not less. Fantastic drugstore option. So if you guys have not tried this out, I highly recommend that you guys do. The next 2 highlighters I tried were the Patrick Ta. These are going to be their like cream highlighter and like their wet highlighter. Honestly, I really wanted to get these. Everybody sold me on them. And then I tried them and they're really pretty, but honestly, I do not use them the way I thought they would. So for me, this was kind of a waste of money. I didn't need two of them because they all look the same. I swatched them. They all ultimately end up looking the same. And it's really pretty and I love Patrick Ta so much. But after playing with this, it's just not the easiest to work with. It's kind of difficult and it doesn't give you the shine that you're looking for. It's supposed to give you like a glow from within. So you're not even supposed to have like a high shine like this. You're supposed to look more like wet, like you're glistening. But it doesn't even do that for me. So for me, I trash. Brows. The only new brow products I tried was the Milk Cosmetics, was the Milk Makeup one. And that is like their brow filler. And I, for the life of me, cannot figure out where I placed it. I recently brought it with me to work and I cannot find it anywhere. So I'll put a picture. I need to go buy another one because I genuinely really did enjoy this. I did get it sent a whole PR box, but I gave away all the additional shades because I don't believe in keeping excessive products that I just don't need. So I gave them away. So I need to go find a replacement because I don't know where it is. I don't know where I put it. It could be one of my multiple work bags. I don't know, but it's a great brow product. Along with the Merit Beauty, these are the two brow liner and brow gel. It's what I'm wearing on my face right now. I've really been falling in love with this. This is such an easy brow product to work with. The way that this just like literally lines the brow, it's so seamless. It fills it in so nicely. It's such a really small, fine line that really helps to get into the brows and help to lift them up. And then the brow gel just has a great job at like holding it in place. It doesn't feel stiff. It doesn't budge, doesn't move. It's really nice. So I would repurchase. Okay, guys. So when it comes to eyes, I have tried so many palettes recently. I tried 50 palettes this past year. So if you guys want to know my in-depth thoughts on all the palettes I tried, I actually did recently post a video like a week or two. I actually recently just posted a video where I ranked all the 50 palettes that I tried, so you guys can get my in-depth opinions there. So I'm not gonna really talk about that here because I did try so many, but what I will say is I did try some single shadows, and the single shadows I tried were the Too Faced Disco Crush. Y'all, these are gorgeous. I got sold these from TikTok and one of my shades did come in broken, but these are gorgeous. I have been finding myself wearing these to work a lot. I just take a little bit of that Sephora bronzer and then I go in with a little bit of glitter glue and I top this on top. It's so pretty. It's so effortless. It just literally glides on the lids and just gives you this beautiful, soft, like beautiful eyeshadow look. It's easy. It's out the door. It's so easy to work with. I've really been enjoying these and I kind of wanted to get other colors, but then I realized I don't need other colors. I just needed the one. My favorite is a shade right here called Magic Sprinkles. This is so worth it. So if you ever get a chance to pick one of those up, that's a shade I recommend. It's so easy just to put on your finger, dab it on, and you can be out the door. And then, like I said, the amount of compliments I get when wearing it, I love it. For powder blush, I think the only new powder blush I tried is the Senj Beauty blushes right here. I love these blushes. They're so freaking good. They do such a great job at giving you such a beautiful coverage without being too overpowering. It's just enough pigment where you can build it up, but you could also build it down if you need to, and it has a subtle glow to it. Now, I don't really like blushes that have too much of a glow, but this gives you just enough where like it just melts beautifully with my highlighter. I think Angelica did such a great job when creating her blushes that it gets me so excited to see what she comes up with next. So for me, this is a definite repurchase. And then I think as for like lips, I think the only new lip liner that I tried that I really have been enjoying is the Fenty Beauty lip liner. This is the Traced Out. I had the shade Rubber Bands. This has been my go-to. I have talked to you guys about this so much. You guys knew that I really fell in love with this. It's what I'm wearing on my lips right now, along with the Fenty Beauty like glossy lip balm. This is in the shade Tulip Kiss. Guys, I haven't talked to you guys about this combo for so long. Definitely would repurchase this 100%. Same thing with the Gazoo. I didn't like the watermelon one, but this coconut one, oh, she is beautiful. She's tasty, and I would definitely repurchase. And then on to like fragrances. I bought the Way. This is the Hair and Body Mist. Y'all, this right here is so freaking superb. So what I do is I told you guys I layered my scents. I started off with this. I spray this primarily in my hair. So like my hair has a beautiful soft fragrance to it. Then I take one of my two favorite scents. I either take the Sol de Janeiro. This is the Beijus de Sol spray. Or if you guys want to, Finery, the Flower Bed. Oh my God, Flower Bed from Finery. Y'all, this has become one of my favorite body mist from this brand. This smells incredible. You guys can find this at Target. I get so many compliments when I just wear this alone. Flower Bed, Finery, Target. Go get your hands on it. It's so worth it. Would definitely repurchase this. But I like to mix either one of these two combos together, whether it's these two or these two. And then I go in with a perfume. Now, like I'm going to recommend the Allie. This is the Vanilla Candy. I go in the spritz, back of my neck, on my wrist. And I just kind of put it together. And that's it. that is my routine. The amount of compliments that I get whenever I wear any sort of this sort of combination, I get so many compliments. And it's just about kind of figuring out what you like and what you don't. You can mix and match your scents. Nobody can really place exactly what perfume I'm wearing because I do mix them all the time. And they're always like, what is it? And I try to tell my combo. They're like, it's too much. I'm like, listen, I'm a difficult person to wear. I'm difficult, okay? I like to have different, I always mix my mascaras. I always mix my lip products. And now I mix my fragrances. But that's how I find what I like the most. So those are all like the makeup and beauty products for me to talk about. I didn't really try a lot of things recently that I have not liked. I pretty much have liked a majority of the stuff that I've tried up to date. However, moving forward, today marks September 3rd. I don't know when you're seeing this though. You could be seeing this on the 3rd, 4th, 5th. I'm not really sure, but just know everything that I tried from September 1st and onwards, I'll start to bring back my monthly repurchase or trash. So we'll get a better idea of what I liked and did not like during that time. But I am going to move on to books really fast because I do want to bring books back into my series. Whenever I used to do my repurchase or trash, I used to talk to you guys about books non-stop. And I've really fallen back into my love for books. So we're going to quickly talk about it. So this past month, I did read It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us. I read... Okay, so I did read It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us. I did read these two books right here. And I will say I really did enjoy It Ends With Us. I typically don't read books like this. I'm going to be straight up honest with you guys. I actually have a lot of romance books, but surprisingly enough, I really have realized about myself, I don't mind a good romance book, but goddamn, do they get boring? I'm not a happy-go-lucky type of gal, okay? I like the dark, the gritty, the trigger warnings, the smutty, spicy books. That's just honestly what I'm into. I think the older that I get, the more I read these stuff and I'm just like, no one actually has a happy ending. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's more realistic. Now, this one definitely does deal with a lot of trigger warnings in here. There's a lot of violence that does occur. So that's why I think I enjoyed this more, because there definitely was that like thriller aspect of shit, what's going to happen next? Is she okay? And I read it because my best friend wanted me to go see the movie with her. And I'm glad I read it. It was a quick read. I read it in 2 days. Really did enjoy it. And so I decided to pick up the second one, which is Before It Starts With Us. And this is the sequel to it. And while this is not nearly as fast paced, the characters do get their happy ending, which I'm grateful for. But for me, they're fun to read, but they're not like my go-to series. But I did enjoy them. Now, I recently have been talking to you guys about the Housemaid series. I'm on the 3rd book right now, and I'm only, 30 pages in, and I've stopped reading it at this time. Not because I dislike it, but because, I don't know. They're a quick read. They're interesting, but they're not interesting enough for me to want to keep going. So I'm going to finish this book. I'm not going to DNF it. I just found other books that I want to read before this, so I kind of stopped at the moment because I was reading this. Then I stopped reading It Ends With Us, It Starts With Us, and then I started to pick this back up, and then I found another book that I'm just like literally obsessed with. So this is going to be kind of put on the back burner for the time being. But I will say, like, they're fun reads, but I like more of like, if I'm going to read a mystery thriller, I want it to be like a legit mystery thriller where it's going to scare the shit out of me, or I'm like, what's going to happen? This is like kind of predictable almost. You're like, oh yeah, I can kind of make sense. Some things no, but some things you're like, I can kind of see that coming. So sometimes there's too much fluff in between before the action starts, and that's the one thing I get kind of bored about. But they're fun. They're just not like as entertaining as other ones. I recently just discovered this series by accident. So I was at work the other day and I came across a TikTok because I read the book called Manacled. Okay. Now, if you guys don't know, Manacled is a book by Sin Lin Yu. I think that's how I'm saying the name right. And I read that book in the beginning of the year. And if you guys have ever read Harry Potter or ever seen the show A Handmaid's Tale, this is going to be a combination of the two. So the book is about, okay, I got to reword this. The book takes place between book 5 onwards. The book takes place after book 5. So Dumbledore lost to Voldemort in the battle, and when he lost, he died. And then from that point on, everybody in the Order of Phoenix died minus Hermione Granger. She's the only sole survivor of the Order of the Phoenix. And so the book starts there. You see her being captive and held into a prison cell in the Hogwarts castle, where then she's then traded off to the High Reeve, which is now considered like the right-hand man to Voldemort. And it is her job to repopulate the magical world with purebred wizards and witches. Okay, so it does deal with a lot of trigger warnings of gore, self-deprecation, self-harm, being essayed. It deals with a lot of triggering stuff, and there are definitely some really hard parts in the book. Oh my God, it's been almost oh my God, I have not read this since January, and I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to immediately get emotional. It is such a beautiful story. Okay, it's a 3-part story. It was written in 3 different books that she combined into one called Manacled. You guys can actually find this online. It's free to read right now, because the author did just get published. So she is taking that book and she actually is going to rechange everything and take away anything that has to do with, like, you know, the Harry Potter and A Handmaid's Tale, and kind of spin it into a different story, because obviously for copyright infringements, she cannot legally publish a book that has to do with Harry Potter, because she doesn't own Harry Potter. And so it's free to read right now until December. Once December hits, they are pulling it offline, but once you download it, you have it. And I have to say, it was the first time I ever read a fan fiction book, and I just fell so hard in love with it. It literally messed with my head. It left me absolutely empty. And I walked away from that book going, I have not read a book like that in a very, very long time, where I felt so empty and so just defeated, and that my heart and soul got torn out of me. And I forgot that that is not the Harry Potter book. I forgot that that's not how the world happened, because of how good it was. So I told you that story to tell you that I recently came across a TikTok where someone's like, I wish there was a book written about Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann, kind of like in that 10 years before they can reconnect. If you watch Pirates of the Caribbean, he became the next Davy Jones, and they couldn't touch each other. They couldn't see each other for like 10 years because he had to be traveling on the sea. And someone's like, I wish there was like a fan fiction about those two, and kind of like telling a story about them meeting every 10 years. And I was like, damn, that'd be like a really good idea. So someone recommended check out this book called From Tormented Tides. I was like, what is this book? It's called From Tormented Tides. I read the back and I was like, okay. It says Katrina Delmore has no idea that Milo, the charming guy she met at a college party, was supposed to have died at the sea 300 years ago. She only knows that she's drawn to him right away, but she's also caught the attention of crewmate Bellamy, whose mysterious allure is hard to resist. Falling for the undead pirate is the least of her worries when something far more sinister seems to be lurking beneath the surface. When the ruthless captain of the ship discovers Katrina may hold the key to breaking the crew's curse, he's hell-bent on taking her for at whatever cost. With time running out, Katrina must learn who she must trust and unlock the mysteries of the past before she and her lovers and her love she pulled under by a curse of her own. So I bought it, but there was a lot of mixed reviews on Amazon, so I was like, oh, I don't know. So I was like looking at this, and Amazon had my back. Amazon's like, wait a minute, let me recommend this to you. So they actually recommended this book called The Ever King. Now, I literally just saw this recommended the other day when I was at work, and I was like, okay, what is this? I read the back, and I was like, okay. So the back says, The Ever King. They stole his crown, so he stole their daughter. For years, Eric, this guard king of the Ever Kingdom, has thought of nothing but vengeance against the man who killed his father and trapped him beneath the waves, making Eric a prisoner of his own realm. When his enemy's daughter unwittingly breaks the chain of the Ever, Eric plans to toss her into the game of revenge. She's innocent, he's vicious, but will he take back what he lost no matter the price, unless she steals his heart first? The whole synopsis, this is just the back. And when I read the whole synopsis on Amazon, I was like, okay, this intrigued me. It's available on Kindle Unlimited. Kindle Unlimited. So it's like, I started to read it. And then I started to read it. And then I kept reading it, and I was like, holy crap, this is a fantastic book. So I bought it. I bought the book, and I am literally 282 pages in. I just got the book yesterday, and I've already read this much. I have become obsessed. This reminds me so much of the ACOTAR world. If you guys ever read ACOTAR, this is going to be a very similar concept, but with pirates and smut and fays and magic and curses, and I've really fallen in love with this. It just brings me back to that ACOTAR world. Now, the ACOTAR still to me is a better series, but this definitely fills that void and gives me what I'm longing and missing. And I went ahead and bought the last 3 books in the series, so they're already on their way to me, except for the 4th book, because that doesn't launch until October. So if you guys want to start reading books, I recommend checking out The Ever King. I almost kept this to myself as like being cruel and greedy, but y'all, this is so good. So like, I don't even know if this is gonna be good at this point. I'm kind of like, I'm not sure, because the reviews are mixed, but this had over almost like 42 to 43,000 stars, 4.5 or 4.9 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, about 42,000 reviews, and on Amazon it has 4.5 stars out of 18,000 reviews. So it has a lot of great reviews. So those are my repurchase or trash. Let me know if there's anything I talked about that you guys would repurchase, you guys trash. Again, it's been a long time since I've done this. I'm so sorry. I will be a lot better. But with that said, that is it for today's video, guys. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please make sure you guys give this video a cheeky thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you guys have not already. So I do post 3 to 4 videos every single week. Make sure you guys head over to my other channel. It's R for Life. You guys get to see my cool, wonderful adventures with my amazing husband, Corey. And as always, the biggest thank you goes to these beautiful, wonderful Patreon members you guys see right here. Thank you guys so much for everything. And to my subscribers and viewers, thank you guys so much for being here. Whether you guys like this video, you guys thumbs down this video, you guys subscribe, you guys did not subscribe, either way, thank you guys so much for being here. I love and appreciate each and every single one of you. So with that said, guys, I love you, and I'll see you guys in my very next video. Bye. I don't know what that was.